Sabrina Carpenter has been in the public eye for over a decade, but it's only in the last few years that she's been treated as a serious pop star with her own unmistakable identity. Her journey from a Disney Channel actress to one of the most distinctive voices and looks in modern pop wasn't quick or easy. It involved trial and error, awkward phases, public scrutiny, and finally a bold rebrand that works because it was both personal and calculated. To understand her rise, you have to look not just at her music, but at her style, her image, and the way she used both to build an individuality that people now call Brinacore. When Sabrina Carpenter was cast in Girl Meets World in 2014, her image was instantly slotted into the Disney machine. Disney has a well-oiled formula for turning young actors into marketable figures, safe, polished, and just edgy enough to keep tweens interested. Sabrina was no exception. Her early looks on the show and at events leaned into the girl next door aesthetic. Her early music under Hollywood Records matched that image. Songs like those from her debut EP, Can't Blame a Girl for Trying in 2014, were clean, guitar-driven pop tracks with lyrics about teenage crushes. She wore outfits that looked straight out of a mall photo shoot. There was nothing offensive or striking about her style, and that was the point. Disney wanted her to appeal to middle schoolers and parents alike. The problem with this phase wasn't that it failed. It actually worked for the demographic she was targeting, but it was too safe. Sabrina looks like every other Disney girl from the 2010s, indistinguishable from peers like Dove Cameron or Bridget Mendler. Nothing in her look screamed individuality. It was an image she could only grow out of. As Sabrina left the Disney system and began to pursue music more seriously, she struggled with her public image. Like many former Disney stars, she wanted to be seen as more mature, but she didn't know how to express that in a way that felt true to her. Around 2018 to 2020, during albums like Singular Act 1 and Singular Act 2, she leaned into a darker, edgier aesthetic. Her music videos from this time, such as Sue Me and In My Bed, featured moodier lighting, sultry choreography, and more polished pop production. At red carpet events, she wore gowns with sharp cuts, metallic fabrics, or heavy detailing. She experimented with smoky eyes, slicked back hair, leather pieces, and outfits that were clearly meant to scream, "I'm not a Disney kid anymore." But this era didn't click. Fans today often clown those looks, calling them try-hard or generic. The issue wasn't that she looked bad, but the style felt borrowed. The dark, edgy vibe was already saturated by other young women in pop. Stars like Halsey, Dua Lipa, and even Selena Gomez had carved out sleek, moody aesthetics that Sabrina's attempt couldn't compete with. Instead of making her stand out, these looks made her blend into a crowd of women chasing the same chic but edgy archetype. The deeper problem was inconsistency. Some days she leaned into glamour, other days casual chic, and other times an awkward mix of the two. Her fans didn't know what Sabrina Carpenter stood for. Her style felt like an experiment that hadn't yet landed. The lack of a cohesive identity made it harder for people to recognize her as a distinct figure in pop culture. She was talented, but she didn't yet have a brand. This edgy Sabrina era suffered from several clear problems. It wasn't memorable. It also didn't match her personality. Sabrina's natural persona is cheeky, witty, and playful. The dark, edgy looks felt at odds with her actual charm. When she tried to look brooding or mysterious, it didn't align with the girl who cracked jokes in interviews. Most importantly, it lacked a narrative. Pop stars thrive when their style tells a story. Taylor Swift had her fairy tale dresses, Billie Eilish had her oversized neon outfits, Ariana Grande had her high ponytail. Sabrina had nothing consistent to tie her music to her image. The result was a stalled moment in her career. Despite good songs, she wasn't breaking into the mainstream in a big way. The branding wasn't strong enough to push her beyond the former Disney star trying to be taken seriously.
I only date a look because my rente. If you always 50, you're mi gente. Woke up this morning, thought I'd write it. How quickly can you look up the He said, where you at? I said, I'm busy. Sipping on tequila, getting tipsy. Con mis chicas in Mexico City.
The turning point came in 2002 with the release of Emails I Can't Send. While the focus is often on the music, the visual rebrand that accompanied it was just as important. Sabrina softened her look, but made it look more defined. Gone were the try-hard edgy outfits. Instead, she leaned into a feminine, romantic style that felt more authentic. In this era, her hair was styled in soft blonde waves, makeup was fresh with playful touches like a bold lip or glittery eyeshadow, and her outfits leaned into flowy dresses, silky fabrics, and pastel tones. It was girly but not childish, sensual but not forced. She looked like herself, just older, wiser, and more confident. Music videos from this period reinforced the shift. Because I Liked a Boy had a vintage aesthetic with colorful sets and styling that nodded to old Hollywood glam. The live performances of Nonsense became iconic not just because of her improvised outros, but because of her flirty stage outfits, sparkly mini dress, thigh-high boots, and playful silhouettes. Suddenly, Sabrina Carpenter had a visual identity that matched her personality: fun, cheeky, unapologetically feminine. Fans noticed immediately. Clips of her playful outros went viral on TikTok, not just for the humor, but for the look. The sparkly dresses, her giggly stage persona, and her campy delivery created an aesthetic package. She wasn't just another blonde pop girl, she was starting to create Sabrinacore. Enter Brinacore, short and sweet and vintage glam. The real cementing of her brand came with the short and sweet era in 2024. This was where all the pieces, music, visuals, persona, and fashion finally aligned into a cohesive, unique identity. Sabrina doubled down on hyper-femininity, baby pinks, glitter, sequins, rhinestones, cutesy accessories, tiny mini dresses, corsets, and lipstick motifs became her trademark. Her outfits looks like a mix of Barbie Dreamworld and campy burlesque, always with a wink of irony. It was girly to the point of exaggeration, but that was exactly the point. On stage, she leaned into this with props and visuals. Espresso, her breakout global hit, was paired with a sugary, neon, playful visual aesthetic. In her Espresso video, the setting felt like a dreamy 1950s Hollywood summer romance with pastel cohorts, cat-eye sunglasses, and vintage glam vibes. Her outfits often feature heart-shaped cutouts, rhinestones, kisses, and pastel corset tops. She wore platform go-go boots straight from the 60s pop stage. Even her hair, soft Marilyn-esque curves, curtain bangs, felt lifted from mid-century Hollywood. The aesthetic gave the album era its name, Brinacore. Flirty, retro, girly, nostalgic, but with tongue-in-cheek confidence. That era had personality, not just fashion. Sabrina's stylist Jared Elner and she clearly mapped her short and sweet style to specific visual eras. The tour aesthetics, drew from 1960s musicals like Grease and Bye Bye Birdie, plus Marilyn catsuit from There's No Business Like Show Business. The image of a 1960s variety show, a pastel penthouse with giant cameras and heart-shaped couches, shaped her stage universe.
And I remember being so excited when I was like, I'm gonna get to wear a baby doll on stage because it feels like pajamas. Like, it's so comfortable.
Brigitte Bardot, such good baby dolls in like the 60s. She's a great reference for baby dolls that we were looking at.
It's like Grease in the bedroom and all the girls are getting ready. I think it was really inspired by Bye Bye Birdie, and she's like dancing around her room, and it felt very beneficial to the set. Act 1 is really set in the main kind of living space. And the next outfit is like not corseted. That's the one where I'm doing the bulk, I would say, of like the movement in the show is in the second act. So having the catsuit in that act has been really helpful for movement.
We were looking at Marilyn Monroe wears a good amount of catsuits. There's one from There's No Business Like Show Business. It's black with a teal sash, and she's in a little dancer heel.
Like, I was always really inspired by like Audrey Hepburn and Funny Face because of how classic and minimal and how much she's moving in that movie, and you can really see her movements because of the black, and it just looks so sleek.
It was all theoretical, intentional, drawing fans into the mood with visual storytelling. The magic of Brinacore was that it matched her music perfectly. Songs like Espresso and Please 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 were playful, confident, and flirtatious, exactly like the outfits she wore while performing them. Where her edgy era felt like a mismatch between her sound and her style, her short and sweet era created total harmony. Around live performances and tours, Sabrina leaned hard into the heart corset and go-go boots motif. These tops, cut with heart-shaped necklines or corset panels and thick-heeled thigh-high boots, became a visual shorthand for her era. She wore it, and you knew instantly it was Sabrina. There's commentaries online documenting how recognizable it became, a virtual uniform for fans attending shows. The shift became more than a rebrand, it became a trend. Fans wore mini dresses, bows, go-go boots, lip motifs, and heart corset tops to concerts. Social media posts shows fans posing in pink sequins or gingham corset sets, recreating her hair and makeup. Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube are full of home tutorials how to do Sabrina's hair, where to get a heart corset look. They even say they want to dress like Sabrina, even if just for a night. The shift helped her become not just a singer, but a style reference point. Fans weren't wearing Sabrina inspired, they were wearing Sabrina. Her image became someone's everyday, and that's powerful for a pop identity. Sabrina's current brand identity works because it is instantly recognizable. When you see pink sequins, playful mini dresses, or glitter lips, heart corsets, go-go boots, you think of her. More than that, the visuals align with her personality. Playful, funny, smart, flirtatious, and unafraid to lean into pop tropes with a wink. The campy femininity feels authentic when paired with her cheeky stage persona. Watching her, you don't wonder who she's trying to be. You feel she's just herself, amplified. She has created a signature style. In a landscape now dominated by minimalist or grudge-leaning aesthetics, she went the opposite direction, and it made her pop. Her exaggerated femininity contrasted with cold minimalism, letting her stand out. The combination of nostalgia and contemporary wink made her look fresh but familiar.
Oh boy.
By the time Man's Best Friend arrived in 2025, Sabrina Carpenter had already mastered the art of using style as identity. But this new era wasn't just about staying in the pastel, heart-shaped comfort zone of short and sweet. It was about twisting that sweetness into something more dangerous, playful, and satirical. With Man's Best Friend, she went even further, turning things up with wink-wink sass, bold visuals, and vintage thrills. This album era felt like stepping into a glittery time machine with strong nods to the 80s and a spark of horror, camp, and sexuality. The album vibe leaned into exaggerated camp. They're short and sweet, channeled retro glam, filtered through softness. Man's Best Friend sharpened the edges. The album's music and style drew deeply from retro sounds. You can hear it in the disco grooves, the synth pop energy, and the big chorus moments. Everything felt like it could have been pulled straight from an 80s music video, but with modern polish. It was both familiar and fresh. On the visual side, Sabrina leaned into glitzy and glamorous. It was as if she stepped off the set of an 80s dance movie, but with a knowing campy twist. The Man-Child music video captured that playful retro energy perfectly. Sabrina plays a hitchhiker cruising across the American West, meeting quirky men along the way, including a guy on a jet ski, someone in a shopping cart on a motorcycle, and a recliner chair on wheels. There's square dancing in a dingy bar, dramatic cliff drops, even encounters with a wild orca. It's wild, funny, and sharp, calling out immature exes while looking like a colorful 70s road trip commercial, all through a modern lens. Then there's the Tears music video, which dives into camp horror instead of glam pop. It begins with Sabrina waking up after an accident, finding herself at a spooky house under flickering red lights. Inside, the vibe is pure homage to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Actor Coleman Domingo plays a drag queen guide in Dr. Frank Enfurter style, teaching Sabrina to dance with a kooky cabaret crew. At the end, she stabs her partner with a stiletto heel because, in her words, someone has to die in every music video.
Baby! I'm so glad you're okay.
You died earlier, I thought.
Babe, what are you talking about?
Someone has to die every video.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
It's spooky, funny, and undeniably retro in spirit. At the 2025 VMAs, Sabrina brought this cinematic retro energy full force to the stage. She emerged from a manhole onto a set that looks like old-school New York under neon lights, surrounded by drag queens and dancers holding the signs for trans rights like "Protect the Dolls." Midway, she stepped into a phone booth and emerged wearing a bedazzled fringe bra and sequins hot pants, a clear nod to Britney Spears' iconic 2001 Dream Within a Dream tour look. Then, she performed under artificial rain in a powerful dance sequence that felt like Flashdance meets Y2K pop. It was dramatic, nostalgic, sexy, and inclusive, tying the era together on stage. In Man's Best Friend, Sabrina Carpenter didn't just craft a new era, she created a whole world. It's one part retro fantasy, one part horror movie, and all parts unapologetically sexy and theatrical. Sabrina Carpenter's rebrand didn't just happen because her music got sharper or her lyrics got bolder. What really made it click is that she finally found a visual identity that matched her personality and her songs. And that identity is retro. When fans think about Sabrina now, they don't just think about the songs, they think about the hardcore set tops, the vintage hairstyles, the glittery dresses that look like they were stolen from an 80s prom night, and the heavy nods to old school icons. She's gone from a girl who makes video to a pop star with a signature aesthetic. This was when she started to become recognizable as the pop star with the vintage but sexy look. Fans loved it because they could copy it. That's how you know a rebrand works. When it's not just her style, but a style other people want to wear too. The key difference between her old style and now is confidence and cohesion. Back in her early career, Sabrina's branding was all over the place. Some eras leaned too dark and edgy, with black leather and moody makeup that didn't fit her personality. Other times, it felt she was stuck in generic Disney pop girl styling. Nothing was distinct enough for people to say, "That's Sabrina Carpenter." Now, people know exactly what she looks and sounds like. Her retro branding has given her individuality. She's built a lane of her own where vintage glamour and campy excess feel natural on her. It makes her stand out on red carpets, in music videos, and on stage. It's also why her image has become memeable and shareable, because when she appears in a new look, it's instantly recognized as Sabrina. In short, her retro rebrand is what tied her music, fashion, and personality together in one strong identity. She went from a talented singer with no clear style to a pop star who can walk into a room and make people think, "That's Sabrina Carpenter, the retro queen of modern pop."